Well, Arlene, this is your 25th year.
25 years.
So anniversary of graduating from this university. And welcome home, because you were a chapel intern in your time. So
this is really cool. Like when I'm sitting in the front row and I'm worshiping God and I'm thinking, this is amazing, because over 25 years ago, I worked as a student chaplain to arrange these chapels so people could have this time to worship God. And I think, this is so cool. They're still meeting in the presence of God. This is awesome. So I'm glad to see you all in chapel. It's very special to be here.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. We do want to talk about your book that came out 10 days ago,
Yes.
Calm, Cool, and Connected. And you're talking about technology and habits.
Yeah.
Okay?
I'm sorry, I'm getting a text right now.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, you got me. Okay.
Yeah.
So then, with this book, right, why did you think that you wanted to write this book? You write books on being a happy mom, being a happy husband,
Yes.
being a wise, things like that. But why did you want to write a book on technology?
Technology is, so it's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So for parents, they're always, put that iPad down. No more video games. It's a big deal for parents. And then for married people, it's like, honey, could you please stop watching the sports? Or babe, could you please stop doing social media? We used to do things together. So for the family, technology is a big deal. But you step that back, where were those habits learned that are brought into the family?
Yeah.
And they're learned when we're kids, when we're teenagers, when we're here at Biola. And so technology, I'm not going to tell you in this chapel, this is an evil tool that you must burn at the end of chapel. You're okay. Your precious phone is safe. So you're going to use your phone. You're going to use technology. But is there a better, smarter way to use this so that it does not waste your time?
Yeah.
That it doesn't, instead of, it's supposed to make you more productive and more connected to other people. But how many times do you find oh my goodness, I could get so much done if I'd stop touching this, and then I would love to be I'm on this all the time, but I'm lonely.
Yeah.
I'm not really getting filled up emotionally with other people because I'm on this all the time.
Yeah.
So that's why I wrote it, because I think there's a better way.
Absolutely. I think you're touching on a few things, but what is bad for us if we're just inundated with technology? If we're oversaturated with technology, how is that harmful to us?
Yeah. I think you see the actual brain being rewired by technology. So, back in maybe my day for sure, maybe your day, you used to have to wait for the right hour for your television program to come.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to wait there and sit there and sit through the commercials. And there was this whole waiting process. But today, you're not going to sit around waiting for something to come on. You're going to watch it whenever you want to. Mm-hmm. You're going to watch it commercial free. You're going to watch a whole series in a few hours if you want to. So it's just instant. And so when we get used to this instant lifestyle of gratification, I want something, I get it. I have a question, I get the answer. And it transfers over to your spiritual life. You think, God, I prayed about that 10 minutes ago, and you really haven't answered that yet. It's he doesn't work that way. Or I asked you for a mate last quarter, where are they? It just does not work that way. So technology, the way we use it, it shapes also just how we view our lives.
Yeah.
Why is this so difficult? Why isn't this instant? I'm going to give up. This is too hard. And then we go to something else. And so I think that can be very detrimental, because the self-control and the patience isn't there like it used to be because of this.
Absolutely. So you're saying it shapes our hearts and our actions, our behaviors, into more of an instant gratification culture, right? Yeah. And so how can we counter-shape our habits so that we can be a little bit more aware of how technology might be shaping us?
And I think even just the awareness of realizing, because so many of us, you're just on your phone and you don't even know it. You pick it up first thing in the morning, you look at it before bed, you put it right next to you. 71% of adults will sleep with this or have it right next to them. And some people I talk to, they're like, oh, it's much higher than 71%. So you could think 7 out of 10 of you in your row are like, okay, I gotta go to bed real close to my phone, And so simply being aware, wow, I use this a lot, and doing a test on yourself. Can you go a day? If you forgot this in your dorm room, could you go all day without having it and survive without, feeling oh my goodness, I'm gonna freak out, I don't have it. The people will be able to reach you. The important things will get through. So just the idea of how being more aware and then setting limits so that there are times where you are unplugged, because it's really good for your brain and for your heart.
Absolutely. So, my first email address was when I went to college.
Yeah.
And as I went to college, I was like, oh my gosh, I get this email thing. That's awesome,
This is
right?
so cool.
And the future is it's all toward technology, right? It's the jobs are all in the technological fields. like, why is it important for us to be aware then? Why do we have to have a more balanced way of looking at
This
things?
is huge for you guys. I think about my husband. When he was in 2nd grade, he thought it would be a great idea to like do a lot of sit-ups. So he started doing all these sit-ups. So he got himself up to 100. And then he got himself up to 200, and he just thought he was going to be like the strongest 2nd grader in the world, you know? And he finally got himself to 500 sit-ups, and he goes the next day, he felt like he was going to break a rib or something. He like hurt so much. And so he was overusing, you know, that whole sit-up thing.
Yeah.
And for us, for technology, we are overusing technology. Like we're using it for work, which is legitimate.
Yeah.
And then when we get off of work, when we stop doing our papers at school, when we stop doing our group project at school, then we're sitting in our room and we're still on it.
Right.
We're walking from this place to the next place and we're checking. And then at night we're checking. So now all of a sudden we're like this 500 sit-up person that I've spent all this time with this technology, and I should have just done like 50. 50 sit-ups might have done me good, but 500 is going to kill me.
Okay.
So in the same way, when you overuse the technology, because you're already on it a lot for school, and then you're on it to stay in touch with your friends, you're on it to order your food, you're on it to get directions, you're on it all the time. So there's got to be times where you say, I will on purpose put this away.
Yeah.
Because it's stressful. You know, my daughter Lucy, when she was 2, she'd run into my room and go, Mommy! You know, and I was like, I like to sleep in the morning. And I was like, this is not a nice way to wake up in the morning. So I tell her, Lucy, we're not going to do that anymore. Mommy's going to leave you a surprise book on the bench. So that's how we solve that. But do you know what we do? We invite Mommy, you know, you insert your name here. We invite that by looking at this first thing in the morning. So all of a sudden we're like, whoa, look at all I have to do. Oh, look at what so-and-so did. Oh, look. And all of a sudden our minds were filled with all of this instead of being more peaceful, more calm, talking to God, talking to your roommate, you know, without this.
Yeah. Are there any suggestions then that you might give to our audience then about how to think through what good boundaries would look like and maybe some helpful practices so that we can keep, you know, only doing 50 push-ups rather than 500 push-ups?
Yeah, and you know, the big plan will be in here, Calm, Cool, and Connected.
Absolutely.
So that's got the 5 habits, but I'll share a few of them. One is called the pivot. And it simply means this. You know, it used to be when someone walked into a room, it was like, you know, instantaneous. People would look up, greet the person, welcome, how are you? You know, today if you walk in a room, you walk in the cafeteria, you walk in a classroom, you walk in whatever, you know, what are people doing? They're like down here, so they're not really looking. And when you get home someday to your families, that's going to happen too. You're going to walk in from a long day at work, and all of a sudden you're like, your whole family's looking down. So simply by practicing what's called the pivot, which just means like, okay, I'm looking right here, but someone's just approached me, instead of just going like, hey, what's going on? And never breaking focus from here. You pivot up and go, hey, what's going on? How are you doing? How was class? What's going on? So simply by your body language saying, I see you, and you are more important than this. So whether it's pivoting away from your phone to greet someone, pivoting away from your laptop when your roommate walks in, just takes 2 seconds. Like, hey, Mike, how was your day? Okay, great. And then you go back to your work. It's so much more personal, human, than we're like all these little computers, you know, just like on our computer all day long. So practice the pivot. If you're able to, charge this somewhere that's not close to your bed. And believe me, the texts that come in the middle of the night, it is probably not because your parents' home is on fire or because you know someone is in dire need. It's probably someone saying like, did you get the homework assignment from that? You know, you can put that somewhere else so you can sleep. And your sweet professors will be like, oh, look, you have not those baggy eyes this morning. What happened to you? You know? So just start charging your phone in a different place, away from your bed that you actually have to physically get up to get it. And then don't check this first thing and don't check it last thing. So first thing in the morning, like make a commitment. I'm going to pray first. It can be like a 1-minute prayer. It doesn't have to be like, I got up at 4 o'clock this morning so I could begin my new prayer ritual, you know. But begin by praising God, by inviting His presence in your day, by reading the Bible. That's a much better way to frame your day than, oh my word, I have this due, and I can't believe she said that, and oh my goodness, that picture is awful. Like, that's not a good way to start your day. And the same way when you end, because when you sleep, You can be rehearsing God's goodness instead of like rehearsing your Snapchat.
Absolutely.
It's better.
I love that. I love that. One last question for you.
Yeah.
When are they going to get a phone?
I know, this is a good one. So we are totally weird. So it is okay to be totally weird. I have a middle schooler, an 8th grader who does not have a phone. I have a 6th grader and a 3rd grader who don't have phones. That's not as weird, but believe me, in elementary school, tons of kids now have these, tons of them. And they're all walking around. I talk to bus drivers, and they're like, it's so sad. People used to have fun, and it used to be quiet in the bus. Now it's like, make some noise, because everybody's sitting, elementary school kids, on their phones. And I've had bus drivers with tears in their eyes tell me it's so sad what's happening to this next generation, because they're not talking. And they're just like on their phones. So our middle schooler obviously is our oldest, and he goes to public school of 1,600 kids in San Diego. So it's not like we're in some farmhouse. He rides his bike 3 miles in and 3 miles out without a phone. And my friends will say like, oh, what if something happens to him? And that's the problem of what this is with parenting. We think as parents, if you have this, it will make you ultimately safe. And it's not true.
Oh.
It's not true. And so my son will be like, if I have a flat tire, Mom, I'll just walk home, just like I would if I had a phone in my pocket. It's really not a big deal.
Yeah.
So you can actually educate your own tastes, your future children's tastes, to use technology less so they can rely on themselves more, rely on God more, instead of just like little babies with our little digital binkies, like, what do I do, Mommy? What should I do?
Binkies.
Tell me the answer, so you must retire your little digital binky. And one way to know that you don't have a digital binky is you could leave it tomorrow in your room and not freak out. And then you'd know, I do not own a digital binky. Could you do it, Mike? Could you do it?
That would be hard. I have to admit. But I'm going to call a timeout here. I'm going to ask the worship team to lead us in a reflection. And I'm going to ask you guys to text in social media and questions. All the information will be on the screen, and we're gonna love to answer your questions.
You can confess to your digital binkies.
Digital binkies. All right. All right, Arlene. We're gonna answer a few questions.
All right.
All right. Here's our first question, and it is completely blank. Oh, there we go. Okay, here we go.
Very nice.
This is my question.
Yeah.
This is seriously my question.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I don't want to buy another alarm clock, right? But what if I use my phone as an alarm clock? What should I do in the morning?
This is a great question. So I use but look, I'm older, so I get that. I use a different device. So I physically have an alarm clock with numbers and everything, that you buy at the store. So I have an alarm clock. That's like my backup. So but I have on my watch is what I use for my alarm clock. So I use an alarm clock on my watch, which is not, it's not an Apple Watch, it's a normal watch, and that beeps, and if that doesn't work, then I use my other as a backup. So if you feel like it would really improve your life to not have this close to you, like you really can't use that as an alarm clock and then just not touch it for 5 minutes. So if that would really help me, then invest in another watch or an alarm clock. It'll be retro. It'll be really cool. Have it in your room, be like, what is that? It's an alarm clock.
Alarm clock, wow.
Could be coming back. Yeah.
Well, it seems like, with technology on our phones, it's like the alarm clock, all of our music, even Netflix, and everything is just invading and putting it onto our phones, right. It just feels like they want to invade our life.
Right.
It just feels like they're trying to take over.
So convenient.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Here's another question. What age do you think it's appropriate to get a phone?
21. No, I'm kidding. 21 is a great age. So it's not necessarily an age question. It is a need question. When do you need a phone?
Yeah.
And then for the person getting the phone, are they going to be responsible? Will they have self-control with this phone? You look at the phones and you give it to a kid, like an elementary school, junior higher, what in the world are they doing with a $500 phone? I don't get it. And a phone plan that their parents are paying for.
Right.
And that their poor parents are like, why are you on the phone this much? Well, you're the one having to pay for all this trouble. So I think it's more of a question of why do they need it? And then a lot of times for parents, we'll say we need it for safety. But the truth is, everyone's so safe these days, I could just be like, hey, man, could you call my mom? And there's 10 people around you, that have a phone. And then instead, if it's a smartphone, then you're putting all sorts of garbage in your kid's pocket that's super tempting. So I think for sure not in elementary school. Personally, I would not in junior high. and then I'd have that conversation in high school, and the first phone I'd give would be a dumb phone, like one that just like texts.
A flip phone?
Yeah, just like, yeah, it's like retro, yeah, man, what's that? That's awesome, you know. So just something just test them.
Yeah.
How do they do with this phone? You know, my daughter, like I told you, my kids do not have phones in 8th grade, 6th grade, and 3rd grade, and when we went on family vacation, an aunt has a flip phone,
Yeah.
and my daughter thinks that's like awesome. And so the whole vacation, she is on the flip phone, like taking the little grainy photo, looking at it. And I'm thinking, oh my word, if I even gave this girl a flip phone, we would never see the top of her head, you know. So you just have to think of who are you giving it to and why do you need it.
Absolutely.
For you guys, it's okay.
Well, some of you guys. I don't know about all of them.
okay.
Yeah, okay. All right, here's another question. Do you think compulsively checking on social media is a symptom or a cause of emotional emptiness?
I would go sidestep that. I know, let me sidestep that and say this. This device, I used to think, oh, this is a neutral device, and it just depends, like, are you going to learn Greek? And are you going to, you know, use it to like, you know, learn God's word? Or are you going to use it? So I used to think it was neutral. It just depends on how you use it. Are you going to use it for good, or are you going to use it for evil? But now the more I read about things, like there's this book called Irresistible by Adam Alter, and it's about the rise of addictive technologies. And you realize that behind this phone, there are 1,000 programmers programming this phone so you will constantly touch it. So all that social media, they know our psychology. They know our desire to, you know how when you're on social media, you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So that desire to like roll the dice and let's see what happens, they know that. And that when you put up a picture, you put up a video, you're curious like how many people have responded yet. So they're feeding into our curiosity and the way our brains are wired.
Yeah.
So the reason we compulsively keep checking is because designers have made it that way.
Yeah.
So it's not just a static thing. I don't just post a picture of this chapel and then move away. I post a picture of this chapel, then I keep coming through all day long. Oh, so-and-so liked it. They knew I was there. Oh, so-and-so, I went to Biola with her. You know, so I keep checking.
Yeah.
So that whole compulsive thing, that's wired into this. They want you to keep checking. Now, I think you can escape, you know, because you are lonely, because you feel that way. I think you can come here because then it doesn't appear like you're alone. You're always kind of like doing something. You're busy.
Right.
But I also think just being here too much and not being face-to-face with somebody, that's lonely. So you know you might be really rich in friends here, but you don't have very much face-to-face time.
Yeah.
You don't like sit next to someone, you don't laugh with them, you know, that makes you emotionally poor. Yeah.
Whoa, we got serious there.
Yeah.
I feel the heaviness.
You feel the
in my
poorness,
heart.
the
Yeah,
poverty. It's right there.
Yeah. That's me, Arlene. No, okay, here we go. This is a question, a tweet from Sam, and she asks, "How does the purpose of technology, making our lives easier, play into separating from it?
Yeah.
Directions, communication."
Yeah, because I did not come here by looking at the stars, my friends. You know, you use your GPS. It's usable. I like to think about this as a hot potato. Like you use it for what you're going to use it for, and then you put it away. So you use it to take your picture, and then you put it away. You use it to text your classmate, hey, I got this paper, you put it away.
Yeah.
Like this idea that I will use this, because it is a really cool tool that you guys can, you know, so instant, so it's like, you know, amazing.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic, but then it's hot potato, put it away. Or else you're like, there's always something else to look at. So view it like a big potato. And use it for what you're going to use it for to be productive, and then put it away. One of the keys in Calm, Cool, and Connected that I share is just asking a question before you go on your phone, before you start writing that paper, is what am I here to do? I am here to write a paper. Well, then write the paper, because you know what we're going to do. Let me check my email, let me check social media, let me check the weather in my hometown, make sure my parents are okay, you know, anything, let me check airfare, you know, to go for a break. I mean, anything is a good excuse from getting to that paper. So just when you're online, when you're with your phone, when you're with anything, what am I here to do? And please let me finish it, you know, and just be focused to be there and then get out.
That's good. That's good. Thank you. Here's another question. How can a person whose career relies heavily on technology regulate their usage in a heavy manner?
Yes, because this is the deal. It's like you work in technology all day long.
Yeah.
You're into it, so that wasn't necessarily fun. So then you go home and you do your fun technology. And I think this has to do with putting other stuff in your life. So for instance, that hey, it's healthy for me if I get outside. Like it's healthy for me if I go like take a walk around the block, or if I jog, or if I bike, or whatever it is that you do to get out there, so that you schedule that in. Hey, it's good for me to like go out and see friends. So have other things so that it's not like I'm working all day in technology, then I'm coming home all day and I'm staying in technology.
Yeah.
But that, okay, I'm gonna go to church and I'm gonna see people and I'm not gonna use my technology.
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna go take a walk or a hike or do something that doesn't have to do with my technology. So it's scheduling in non-screen activities, and then maybe having a bedtime for your phone and your devices, whether that's, for me, it's like, I'm old, so it's like 8 o'clock. For you guys, it might be like 1 a.m. It's like, okay, give yourself a break, man. Turn that thing off at 1. So have times where you are off, and that will help you if your job is technology driven.
Great.
Yeah.
Here's another question. How did you convince your children that having a smartphone was not necessary? Did you encounter any resistance?
I love this, the resistance. Okay, with our kids, see, I have the fortune of having trained them since they were little. So I have the fortune of having a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old know that this is not their phone, this is mommy's phone, and you may not touch it unless we're in an airplane. So they were raised to know this is not their phone, this is not their technology. And so they've actually been raised in a way, we do lots of fun things, we're super active, so it's not like they're like sitting home all day like, my mother doesn't let me have a phone, So I remember asking my 6th grader, because I wrote an article about this when he was in 6th grade, he's in 8th grade now, and I said, Ethan, how do you feel about this? Because he was the only kid that didn't have like a device in his backpack, no iPad, no phone. And it was the summer, coming home from the summertime, and his friend said, Ethan, how'd you survive the summer?
Yeah.
And he's like, Mom, I was like, how did you survive the summer? All you did was like sit in your house playing games. Like, I ride my bike, I go mountain biking, I do, martial arts, I play the piano, I read. Like, how can they not have that in their life? So you fill your kids' lives with things that are rich, interesting, good for them, healthy, and then they don't grow up with the addictions. And if you can raise them when they are young, their taste buds will actually go that way, because they'll go to a play date and everyone, is like this, and then they'll be like, Mom, that wasn't really that fun, because everybody was just like staring at their phone for 2 hours. They'd much rather go have fun.
Yeah.
So educate them when they're young, and then when they're older, it's being the mean parent and taking the resistance, and just knowing this is going to be healthier for them when they're your age.
Yeah, and I think you touched on it before. It's the modeling it for yourself too, or modeling it to your children. It's like putting the phone away yourself, and then it's like if they're doing a puzzle, I'm not here on my phone and doing my thing. All right, great, love that. Here's our final question, and this is the question we ask all of our Biola guests. And the question is, what are some of the biblical principles that help shape some of your ideas for today?
The first thing that came to mind was be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10.
That's good.
And even if we're like, watch, we'll be still for 3 seconds. See how different that feels? Like we never do that, right?
Yeah.
And so with our phone, we are God. I can know the weather. I know exactly where I'm going. I can buy my tickets. I can find the best dessert in town. I can do all this stuff. I am God. I can do this.
Yeah.
And we're not still, and we're stressed, and we're moving, and we're responding, and we're filling in all the gaps. And so we're not still. We check. Believe me, I'm not a paragon of virtue. I'm like at my red light checking my phone, like, why do I need to do that? Like, put it down. You wrote the book, So just know that, right?
Yeah.
So, but to realize, be still and know that I am God. And if there's no moment that you are still before God, no screens, no chatter, and you just say, God, you're God. I'm not God. I depend on you. I need you. I need more of you. And then there's that verse in Proverbs 4:23, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life. At best, this is a distraction and a time waster. At worst, it gets you hooked on destructive behaviors that will ruin your life when you leave Biola, okay, at worst.
Right.
So you're somewhere in between there. And so keep your heart with all diligence, that this would not be an idol in your life, that you would need more than, like, would it be worse to not have your Bible or not to have Wi-Fi? And so just to realize I got to keep my heart with all diligence and just test myself and examine myself. Is this too big of my life? Am I spending too much time here? And that's why I'm not at peace. That's why I'm not hearing God for direction, dreaming. You know, a lot of times we're not dreaming about what we could become and our lives in the future because we're just busy in this mundane stuff. I promise none of you will be 85 years old and be like, I should have spent more time on Snapchat. You know, it's like, nobody's going to say that. So get busy now with building an awesome life for yourself and use this as a tool, not as a distraction.
Awesome. Thank you, Arlene. Let's thank Arlene for being with us today.
Biola University prepares Christians to think biblically about everything, from science to business to education and the arts. Learn more at biola.edu.